Tuesday, October the 8th, 2013. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Calling the roll, Mr. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Brady?
Here.
Mr. Germana?
Here.
Mr. Gallagher?
Here.
Mr. Schron? Mr. Schron is absent this evening. Ms. Conwell?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Rogers?
Here.
Ms. Simon? Mr. Greenspan?
Here.
Ms. Conley?
Here.
There is a quorum.
Is there a motion to excuse Mr. Schrein?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Miller and seconded by Mr. Gallagher. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Please mark Mr. Schrin's absence as excused and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For a moment of silence, I would hope that we would all consider our own personal reflections. All right, moving on to item 5. Has anyone signed in for public comment related to the agenda?
No, Madam Chair, other than a person who would like to speak during Resolution 2013-0216, and will be taken at that time.
All right, we'll call on her at that time. The minutes of the regular meeting of September 24th, 2013 are in your packet on page 10. If everyone has had an opportunity to review those minutes, I can entertain a motion to adopt them as circulated. Moved by Ms. Conwell and seconded by Mr. Miller. Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The minutes are adopted. The only announcement I have, congratulate Mr. Fitzgerald, and we went to the dedication of the ribbon cutting this afternoon at the Global Center. It was very impressive. Food was very healthy. Vegetables and nuts and dried prunes and lemon basil water and orange raspberry water, and it was very nice. So that's my only comment. Mr. Fitzgerald.
I think your description just drove attendance down in the next few weeks. Well, I wanted to congratulate, I don't think congratulations are, well, I think collectively there's some congratulations to go around. I want to thank you, Madam President, and Mr. Gallagher for sitting on the advisory board that we set up a few years ago. I guess it's been a few years, a couple years ago now. As I said at the dedication, there were a lot of people that were predicting failure, and although I wouldn't say all of the work is done, just standing in the atrium there and looking up at the 4 floors and looking at who the tenants are. When we all took office, that's what we were talking about. Who in the world are the tenants going to be? All the articles that were written at the time talking about how we didn't have any national tenants, weren't going to get any national tenants, the building was going to be empty, we're going to have to fill it up with free space of local folks that would just be willing to do it out of a sense of civic obligation, not because they believed in the facility. And things have really, I think, really turned around, and it was because of a partnership with the council and the administration and our branch of government, but also the nonprofit sector and the public sector and the private sector. So it was just it was a great event, and it's just one of those milestones. I just think there's more good news to come. There's going to be some announcements made, I think, in the next week or two about progress on the hotel project, progress with some major conventions that are looking at coming to the area, just good things that are happening. So it's great to see a lot of hard work is paying off. On a less positive note, I'm going to share some information with the council this week. Some of it's information you probably already have. I've asked all my directors to kind of assess the impact of the federal shutdown on our constituents that we all serve. So we're going to be getting some more detailed reports on that. I kept hoping that that kind of review was going to be unnecessary because the shutdown was going to end, but we're in day 8 now of the shutdown. I actually spoke earlier today, Madam President, in front of a Metro facility at 68th and Broadway, where they provide some of the services that they do through the WIC program, Women, Infants, and Children. That program barely has enough money to continue to provide things like baby formula for newborn infants. They have enough money basically in reserve that they think they can make it another few weeks. If this shutdown continues, you're going to have more and more of a human cost. We already have a situation where NASA Glenn has been almost completely furloughed. Almost everyone there has been furloughed. And there are more ramifications coming. I just think it's incumbent upon public officials to let their federal officials know that this is not acceptable. We don't do business like this. We have disagreements every once in a while. We don't shut down the government as a result. We had financial problems. We had to make cuts. We had to look at revenues. We did all those things, passed a 2-year budget, did it on time. It can be done. It's a cautionary tale, I suppose, for what happens when partisanship gets out of control. We're expressing ourselves. I would encourage the council to express themselves to our local representatives for a very speedy resolution. What I said earlier today was one thing that I don't want to happen is I don't want the general public in Cuyahoga County to get the idea that this is just some Washington political theater that does not have real-life consequences here in Cuyahoga County. So if this continues into next week, we'll do another update in terms of what the human cost has been. But my directors are compiling some of that information, and we'll share it with council. If you have any specific information of how you're seeing that it's affecting your specific council districts, please feel free to share that with us as well. Hopefully this will be the last time we have to have this conversation. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. The contracts executed by the county executive are in your package, starting on page 24 for review. Item 9, consideration of a resolution of council for first reading and referral to committee.
Resolution number 2013-0215, a resolution approving and concurring with amendments made to the Northeast Ohio Area-Wide Coordinating Agency Code of Regulations on August 9th, 2013, as shown in NOACA Resolution number 2013-027, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
This matter will go to Mr. Greenspan's committee, Court Operations, and Ms. Galucci is here from NOACA. Would you like to make any comment on this, or come to the microphone? And I think it's good for everybody to get to know you and meet you.
Good afternoon. Is it on?
Here we go.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
There you go.
It's a good thing I'm not a technical person. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for considering the item that we have placed on the agenda. The intent of those changes to the Code of Regulation primarily are to integrate the board members more into the processes of the entire organization. So they mostly revolved around committee changes. So we added some committees, and we changed it so that board members would actually be seated on all of the committees, where previously it was board members in some cases and non-board members in others, and in some cases they were folks that were staff of other organizations. So we're just trying to better position the board members to be able to drive the policy of NOACA. The most significant changes, as I stated, revolve around the committees, and those changes have already been adopted by the NOACA board and do not require concurrence. However, there are a few of the articles related to membership that do require the concurrence of each one of the counties. We are 5 counties, Geauga, Lake, Medina, Lorain, and Cuyahoga. At this point, Lake and Lorraine have already ratified, and the other two are scheduled, as well as yours is scheduled. And the item of reference particularly that I think has the most change is that we currently allow alternates to the board members, and those alternates do not have the same requirements that the board members have. So in several instances, there are alternates who are neither elected officials or employees or appointed officials of the jurisdictions they represent. So the change is to make the alternates have the same requirements that the board members have. They would need to be elected officials, appointed officials, or employees of the jurisdiction.
Okay, thank you very
Sure,
much. And then
thank you.
Mr. Rogers is our representative on the NOACA board.
Actually, Mr. Rogers and his alternate is Mr. Germana, who actually last year was the board member. And I do want to thank both of them for their leadership in working with the Code of Regulations, as well as I'd like to thank Mr. Ed Jers and Mr. Nate Kelly, who were on the Code of Regulations Task Force.
Okay, and you'll be notified as to when the committee meeting is?
Yeah,
due?
Madam President, if I could address
Yeah.
that now while Ms. Galucci's here. We're going to meet on the 16th at 2 p.m. in committee, which is a departure from our normal
Right.
time because of the holiday next Monday. So
Okay.
this, a week from tomorrow at
Great.
2 p.m.
I will come back
Right
in
here.
case you have any further questions.
Great, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, item 10, consideration of ordinance of council for third reading adoption.
Ordinance number 2011-0048, an ordinance enacting Chapter 509 of the Cuyahoga County Code, directing the county executive to conduct a disparity study and, if required by law, validate the disparity study every 5 years thereafter, requiring annual updates of said study and declaring the necessity that this ordinance become immediately effective.
Moved by Mr. Jones and seconded by Ms. Conwell. Did you want to be heard on this, Mr. Jones?
Madam President, we have worked to bring this disparity study to our passage from the moment we took office. This council heard about the concept of a disparity study during our transition phase. The ability to just study the counties, to study the inequity that may happen in county contracting, and to create programs and initiatives necessary to address that inequity. We have worked diligently over the years with the administration, and we have come to the point where we have two vendors who are going to conduct this study. The first is named UQuant. They will do the data collection. And the second is given to Griffin and Strong. They will interpret the data, do community outreach, and help us with the programming and initiatives that respond to any inequity that we might find. We will follow the data as it reveals itself. We won't get out in front of it and make any programs we think we would like to have, but again, simply respond to what the data provides. There has been outside of the box thinking when it comes to this study. We have worked very diligently, and I believe we have something that will be a national model based on cost. We know these studies can run into the millions of dollars, and we have one. And this will be in the neighborhood, I think we're probably still negotiating, so I don't want to say the exact dollar amounts, but we will be significantly below what has been charged in the past. So I'm excited about this study, and it is coming to pass shortly soon. And again, I ask for your support on this legislation so that we can codify it and for future administrations and council to continue providing this study to help the county stay on the cutting edge of economic inclusion.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. Miller?
I would just like to commend Councilman Jones and the executive and his administration for really good and diligent work on this. And I know other jurisdictions have stumbled on these studies, but I think that we're really on the right track, and this is going to be a very good study and done very cost effectively, and it'll help our economic inclusion efforts considerably. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Any other comment? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. All right, item 0019.
Ordinance number 2013-0019, an ordinance amending section 704.01 to 704.03 of the Cuyahoga County Code to designate that the additional DTAC fee commence on January 1st, 2014, and continue through December 31st, 2018, and declaring the necessity that this ordinance become immediately effective.
To adopt.
Moved by Mr. Miller and seconded by Ms. Simon. Any discussion on this item?
Madam President.
Mr. Miller.
My colleagues, this legislation was heard in Finance and Budget in 2011. County Council changed one of the component funding elements for the land bank, moving from the issuance of tax delinquent anticipation notes, or DTANs, to applying an additional 5% fee on all actual collections of delinquent property taxes, known as the DTAC fee. The 2011 legislation was for 1 year, and it was extended for an additional year in 2012. And based on the success of this process, this resolution extends this method of funding for an additional 5 years. The $7 million annual cap on the total funding for the land bank through its base funding mechanism is maintained. The current method allows us to more accurately estimate, more efficiently provide, and more economically collect and distribute base funding for the land bank. Using the DTAC funding eliminates the need to issue DTANs and the need for the land bank to pay interest. Overall, the new process is simple, easy to track, and requires less work from the Treasurer's Office. On an annual basis, there are moderate variations in the amount that municipalities, school districts, and other taxing authorities contribute under this method compared with the prior tax anticipation notes, since anticipated delinquencies versus actual delinquencies will vary from year to year. But over longer periods of time, the distribution of contributions under the two methods is expected to be very similar. In 2012 and 2013, 17 taxing authorities are on track to contribute more in both years than what was projected. 51 are on track to contribute less in both years than projected, and 38 are on track to contribute more than projected in 1 year and less in the other, suggesting a variable pattern that will average out over time. The land bank plays a vitally important role in our county's economic and social future, and the DTAC fee provides simple, efficient, and easily administered base funding for the land bank, and I recommend approval.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Any other comments? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item 11, consideration of resolution for first reading adoption under suspension of the rules. I'd like a motion to suspend Rule 9D and 12A as it relates to item 2013-0216 and 2013-0217.
Madam President, I move to suspend the rules for those two you mentioned. Second.
Moved by Mr. Gallagher and seconded by Mr. Jemana. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The rules are suspended.
Resolution number 2013-0216, a resolution proclaiming the month of October 2013 as Disability Employment Awareness Month in Cuyahoga County because we are equal to the task, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective. Madam President, we have Nancy Seidel here to speak on behalf of this item.
Okay, do you want to have somebody move it first? Moved by Mr. Rogers and seconded by Mr. Jones. Ms. Seidel?
Thank you very much to everyone from the council and to County Executive Mr. Fitzgerald for your unanimous support of this resolution. I am from the Cuyahoga County Advisory Committee on Persons with Disabilities, and I am one of our co-chairs for our Employment and Workforce Development Subcommittee. This is something that we have done annually, and we really appreciate the county's support in our annual movement to bring the interests of people with disabilities to the forefront of our minds when we're thinking about services that are provided to county residents, and making sure that they are accessible both in a programmatic and physical way for all Cuyahoga County residents. I'd like to briefly read the resolution and then also point out a couple of items that have been successes we've had. Whereas the annual observance of National Disability Employment Awareness Month is designed to recognize the contributions of workers with disabilities, the effort to educate the American public about issues related to disability and employment actually began in 1945 when Congress enacted a law declaring the first week of October as each year as National Employment of the Physically Handicapped Week. Whereas in 1962, the word physically was removed to acknowledge the employment needs and contributions of individuals with all types of disabilities. In 1988, Congress expanded the week to a month and changed the name to National Disability Employment Awareness Month. Whereas this observance presents us with the opportunity to increase the public's awareness of the contributions and skills of American workers with disabilities. Programs carried out during this month will also highlight the specific barriers that still need to be addressed and removed. Whereas the 2013 observance theme is Because We Are All Equal to the Task, and builds on the Founding Fathers' philosophy that a new nation sees every human being as having inherent worth bestowed upon them by the Creator, and the equality is a fundamental right. Whereas Americans with disabilities strengthen our country's workforce by enhancing the workplace environment for people with disabilities, employers can help provide access to jobs that allow these individuals to demonstrate their potential and realize their dreams. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that the Council of Cuyahoga County, Ohio, hereby proclaims the month of October 2013 as Disability Employment Awareness Month in Cuyahoga County, because we are all equal to the task. Be it further resolved that the Council of Cuyahoga County hereby recognizes that Americans with disabilities are an underutilized reservoir of ambition, talent, and skill, ready to make great contributions to the workplace. Be it further resolved that the clerk of the council be, and she is hereby instructed to transmit a copy of this resolution to Eliza Hara, Director of Human Resources and Employment Council. And again, I'd like to say thank you, because this subcommittee has worked, the Accessibility Subcommittee has worked a great deal with Cuyahoga County Council and with the departments within the county to make sure that all of the buildings are accessible, and that new building projects such as our great convention center that we've just seen are accessible to people with disabilities, especially when we consider things like mobility impairments. The Employment and Workforce Subcommittee has informed me on how to do my job a great deal. I work for Cuyahoga County in the Employment and Workforce Division, and they are helping me a great deal with grant funds that we have for the Disability Employment Initiative that we are currently operating under. And then also our Social Issues Subcommittee has been able to work with the Board of Elections to make sure that voting booths and voting sites are accessible, and that the staff are trained to be able to assist people with disabilities while they exercise their right to vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. All right, item 0217.
Resolution number 2013-0217, a resolution amending the 2012-2013 biennial operating budget for 2013 by providing for additional fiscal appropriations from the general fund and other funding sources, for appropriation transfers between budget accounts, and for cash transfers between budgetary funds in order to meet the budgetary needs of various county departments, offices, and agencies, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Miller and seconded by Mr. Rogers. Did you want to be heard, Mr. Miller?
Madam President, my colleagues, this resolution is routine. Two items of note: it includes $500,000 in current funding for the council's scholarship program that we initiated, and also it includes an additional $150,000 in funding to provide adequate total funding for the disparity study. I ask for approval.
All right, any other questions or comments? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.
Resolution number 2013-0218, a resolution approving a collective bargaining agreement between Cuyahoga County Common Pleas Court, Juvenile Court Division, and Laborers Local 860, affiliated with Laborers International Union of North America, representing approximately 107 employees in 8 classifications in probation, clerks, and transportation services for the period November 1, 2012 through October 31, 2015, directing that funds necessary to implement the collective bargaining agreement be budgeted and appropriated, authorizing the county executive to execute the agreement and all other documents consistent with this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
This was a collective bargaining agreement negotiated by the juvenile court, and it's my recommendation that no action be taken.
Madam President, just for the record on these 2 items, I would have had to have recused myself.
Okay. All right, item 0219.
Resolution number 2013-0219, a resolution approving a collective bargaining agreement between Cuyahoga County Common Pleas Court, Juvenile Court Division, and Laborers Local 860, affiliated with Laborers International Union of North America, representing approximately 122 employees in 7 classifications in detention services for the period January 1, 2013 through December 31, 2015, directing that funds necessary to implement the collective bargaining agreement be budgeted and appropriated, authorizing the county executive to execute the agreement and all other documents consistent with this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Once again, this was a labor contract negotiated between the court and the union. It's my recommendation that no action be taken, which means for the public that this matter will go into effect 30 days here too. We're not voting it up or down. We're just taking no action. Item 12, consideration of resolutions for first reading and referral to committee.
Resolution number 2013-0220, a resolution approving an amended and restated sewer service agreement with City of North Olmsted for conveyance and treatment of wastewater from Olmsted Township to the North Olmsted Wastewater Treatment Plant for the period October 22, 2013 through October 21, 2033, to confirm and clarify joint use, respective rights, and obligations in connection with portions of the North Olmsted sanitary sewer system jointly used by North Olmsted and the county, authorizing the county executive to execute the agreement and all other documents consistent with this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
This matter will go to Public Works.
Resolution number 2013-0221, a resolution making an award and requisition number 28695 to Jack Doheny Companies Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $3 million for sewer jetvac trucks, parts, supplies, and services for the period October 1, 2013 through September 30, 2018, authorizing the county executive to execute the contract and all other documents consistent with said award in this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
This matter will go to Public Works.
Resolution number 2013-0222, a resolution authorizing an economic development redevelopment ready loan in the amount not to exceed $1 million to Fairmont Creamery Leverage Lender for renovation of a building located at 1720 Wiley Avenue, Cleveland, authorizing the Deputy Chief of Staff of Development or Director of Development to execute all documents consistent with said loan and this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
This matter goes to Economic Development.
Resolution number 2013-0223, a resolution rescinding resolution number 2013-0093 and authorizing the issuance and sale of County of Cuyahoga, Ohio taxable economic development revenue bonds, Series 2013, Flats East Bank Phase 2 project, in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed $17 million for the purpose of assisting in the financing of a project within the meaning of Chapter 165 Ohio Revised Code, paying capitalized interest, funding a debt service reserve fund, and paying costs of issuance, providing for a guarantee for the payment of such bonds, authorizing the execution of various documents required in connection with said bond issuance, and authorizing and approving related matters, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
This matter goes to Economic Development.
Resolution number 2013-0224, a resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of County of Cuyahoga, Ohio, taxable economic development revenue bonds, Series 2013B, Westin Cleveland Hotel Project, in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $6,500,000 for the purpose of providing monies to pay costs of a project within the meaning of Ohio Revised Code, Chapter 165, authorizing the preparation and use of a preliminary official statement, authorizing the preparation, execution, and use of an official statement, approving and authorizing the execution of a cooperative agreement, a bond purchase agreement, a bond registrar agreement, and a continuing disclosure agreement, authorizing other actions related to the issuance of the bonds, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
This goes to Economic Development, but I have a note here from the clerk that the amount might be changed in the committee, so we'll entertain a substitute in the committee.
Resolution number 2013-0225, a resolution authorizing a revenue-generating agreement with City of Cleveland, Cleveland Municipal Court, in the amount not to exceed $1,804,656 for legal services for indigent persons for the period January 1, 2013 through December 31, 2013, authorizing the county executive to execute the agreement and all other documents consistent with this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
This matter goes to Public Safety and Justice Affairs. Item 13, committee reports and consideration of resolutions for second reading. And these matters are on for second reading only, and they'll be moved to our meeting of October 22nd.
Resolution number 2013-0211, a resolution authorizing 2 economic development redevelopment ready loans, each in the amount not to exceed $1 million, to Parmatown Station for asbestos abatement, partial demolition, and renovations of property located at the southwest corner of Ridge and Ridgewood Roads, Parma, authorizing the Deputy Chief of Staff of Development or Director of Development to execute all documents consistent with said loans and this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Okay, so that'll be on for the 22nd.
Yes. Resolution number 2013-0212, a resolution authorizing an economic development, redevelopment, and modernization loan in the amount not to exceed $680,000 to Playhouse Square 1317 for renovation of property located at 1317 Euclid Avenue, Cleveland, authorizing the Deputy Chief of Staff of Development or Director of Development to execute all documents consistent with said loan and this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Okay, it'll be on for third reading on the 22nd. Item 14, committee reports and consideration of resolutions for second reading, adoption, and suspension of the rule. So these matters have been into committee, and there's no reason to have a third reading, so we'll entertain a motion to suspend Rule 9D.
Madam President, I move to suspend the rule.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Gallagher and seconded by Mr. Jemand. Any discussion on suspending the rules? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The rule is suspended.
Resolution number 2013-0205, a resolution declaring that public convenience and welfare requires replacement of Aikens Road Culvert 01.12 in the city of North Royalton. Total estimated project cost $490,000. Finding that special assessments will neither be levied nor collected to pay for any part of the county's costs of said improvement. Authorizing the county executive to enter into an agreement of cooperation with said municipality in connection with said project, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Jones and seconded by Ms. Conwell. Mr. Jones?
And Madam President, this culvert was identified for replacement through our inspection program, Public Works Inspection Program. The existing culvert is in size is 12-foot by 4-foot 6-inch box culvert. It was built in 1928 and has a general appraisal rating of 3 on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being needing demolition or needs closing, I mean. And this 3 again, was given a rating of 3. The total cost is $490,000. At the request of the city, the project will begin construction in 2015, and I ask for your support in passage.
All right, any other questions or comments? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.
Resolution number 2013-0206, a resolution declaring that public convenience and welfare requires replacement of Eastland Road Culvert 00.53 in the city of Middleburg Heights. Total estimated project cost $420,000. Finding that special assessments will neither be levied nor collected to pay for any part of the county's costs of said improvement. Authorizing the county executive to enter into an agreement of cooperation with said municipality in connection with said project, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Jones and seconded by Ms. Conwell. Mr. Jones.
And again, our inspection program identified this culvert for replacement also. The size of this existing culvert was 10-foot by 4-foot box. This was built back in 1915. And again, the general appraisal rating on this was a 4. Total cost is $420,000, and construction will begin in 2014. And I ask for your vote recommended for passage.
All right, thank you. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.
Resolution number 2013-0207, a resolution approving right-of-way plans as set forth in plat number 5017 for rehabilitation of various Highland Road bridges over Euclid Creek in the city of Euclid, authorizing the county executive through the Department of Public Works to acquire said necessary rights-of-way, finding that special assessments will neither be levied nor collected to pay for any part of the county's costs of said improvement, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective for the bridges as printed on the agenda, items C1 through 4.
Move to adopt.
All right, moved by Mr. Jones and seconded by Mr. Miller.
And here additional right-of-way is required again for the construction of this bridge. There are 2 property owners. One is a private owner, and the second is Cleveland Metropolitan Park District. In total, there are 12 parcels, 1 private and 11, again, from the CMP district. All the parcels are temporary easements, and that's simply for the purpose of accessing the bridge and grading around the bridge. The plans have been made available for public view, and the department has requested approval for this right-of-way plan. Authority to acquire the right-of-way, and finding that special assessments are not to be levied and collected to pay any part of this county, of the county share. And I recommend it for passage.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.
Resolution number 2013-0208, a resolution making an award on requisition number 27661 to Regency Construction Services Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $2,467,000 for construction of the Cuyahoga County Crime Lab, authorizing the county executive to execute the contract and all other documents consistent with said award and this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
I think I heard Mr. Gallagher first, then Mr. Germain second.
Madam President?
Mr. Gallagher.
This is a contract for the construction of the new county crime lab. Contract includes the demolition of existing office space and construction of a new crime lab, which is located in the existing medical examiner's office building. Funding is provided out of the capital improvements budget. Work is expected to begin immediately, and the project will be completed by the end of July 2014, and I respectfully request that the council vote this through this evening.
All right, any questions? Will we be doing work for other counties outside of Cuyahoga County? So will this be revenue producing?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes, Mr. Miller?
We have made some progress on having other communities use the crime lab. But so far, we haven't moved that far toward the vision of of bringing in enough revenue to move closer to self-sufficiency. So I think that is going to continue to need attention.
Work in progress.
Yeah, work in progress.
Once it's up, we expect more.
All right, any other questions? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Next item, 0209.
Resolution number 2013-0209, a resolution making an award on requisition number 27988 to Traff Tech Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $1,222,800 for striping in connection with the countywide preventative maintenance program for the period October 1, 2013 through October 31, 2014, authorizing the county executive to execute the contract and all other documents consistent with said award and this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Jones and seconded by Mr. Germana. Mr. Jones?
And Madam President, this council, back in March of this year, passed ordinance to establish our countywide preventative maintenance program. To date, 10 communities have signed on, and I'll give you the list. Bay Village, Broadview Heights, Chagrin Falls, Euclid, Garfield Heights, Highland Heights, Lakewood, North Royalton, Parma Heights, and Shaker Heights. They have passed the agreement to participate in the program. Bids were opened in August 1st for the striping program. 5 proposals were pulled from OPD, 2 bids were submitted, and Public Works recommended the lowest bid, which went to Traff Tech. And Traff Tech is an SBE. The amount was $1,222,000. It was 3% under the engineer's estimate. So again, I ask for your support and recommend this for passage.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Any other discussion or questions? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. 02110.
Number 2013-0210, a resolution authorizing a continuation agreement with County Commissioners Association of Ohio Service Corporation for participation in the natural gas purchase program for the period January 1, 2014 through December 31, 2019, authorizing the county executive to execute the agreement and all other documents consistent with this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Jones and seconded by Ms. Conwell.
And Madam President, the department is requesting that the county participate in the cooperative purchase agreement through the County Commissioners Association of Ohio. The county has participated in the program over the last 5 years and is requested to participate in the program for the next 5 years. The program secures competitive price bulk natural gas for agencies that participate in the program, and I recommend it for passage.
All right, any questions of Mr. Jones on this item? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.
Resolution number 2013-0213, a resolution making awards to various municipalities in the total amount of $1,050,000 for various municipal grant projects for the 2014 Community Development Block Grant Municipal Grant Program for the period October 1, 2013 through September 30, 2014, authorizing the county executive to execute the agreements and all other documents consistent with said awards and this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective for the communities in the amounts and the projects as printed on the agenda, items G1 through 7.
Moved by Mr. Miller and seconded by Mr. Germana. Anyone want to be heard on this item? This is the federal block grant money that the city of Cleveland gets, because certain cities, because of their size, get the money and disperse it, but this money comes to the county and we disperse it to the various municipalities. So this is sort of passed through with federal money.
President?
Yes.
I would just comment that in the past, we had some delay in getting this money out, but the administration seems to have gotten it on a good schedule, and this one's on the schedule we're looking for.
Fortunately, we got it before the shutdown. Okay, any other questions or comments? All right, all those in
I'd like to have my name added if it's not already a part.
Yeah, your name's already on here, Mr. Jones. Okay. All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. All right, 0214.
Resolution number 2013-0214, a resolution authorizing a contract with Point Blank Solutions in the amount not to exceed $1,800,000 for consultant services for the case management and document imaging system for the period March 1, 2013 through February 28, 2016, authorizing the county executive to execute the contract and all other documents consistent with this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt. Second.
Moved by Mr. Gallagher and seconded by Mr. Germana.
Madam President.
Mr. Gallagher.
Point Blank Solutions is the case management consultant company for the prosecutor's office. Similar to what we did with the ProWare contract for the clerk of courts and the courts, the prosecutor's office has made this a 3-year contract at our request, and we greatly appreciate the cooperation with that. Currently, the ProWare software does not interface with the prosecutor's office and Point Blank program, causing duplicative work for the clerk's staff. The goal of the clerk and the prosecutor's office is to have a software interface between this program and ProWare in order to save money and be more efficient. Jeff Mowry and his team are working on an RFP to have one case management system for the entire county justice partners. And that's something that our committee's been working on diligently for the past year and a half. And this is, again, part of a long-term project that will eventually save the county resources, including staff time and dollars. I'd like to thank Prosecutor McGinney and his staff, Jeff Mowry, and certainly Clerk Andrea Rocco, for their continued support in this project. I urge my colleagues to support this contract, as this is one of many steps in a long-term plan to correct and get one umbrella over all the justice system, so practicing attorneys and law firms and clients and pro se's can access the courts as easily as anybody within the courts themselves.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, all's in favor. I think this has been a long time in working, right?
About a year and a half.
All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Oh, item 15, consideration of a resolution of third reading adoption, and it's only 5:55.
Resolution number 2013-0092, a resolution authorizing a casino revenue fund loan in the amount not to exceed $3,684,650 to Playhouse Square District Development Corporation for streetscape improvements, authorizing the Deputy Chief of Staff of Development or Director of Development to execute all documents consistent with said loan and this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Moved by Ms. Conwell and seconded by Mr. Miller. Yeah, Mr. Schron is not here, and this came out of his committee. So do we have some comment on this?
Madam President.
Yes.
Thank you. This item, although the dollar amount looks strange, which it is, it's typically not a round number, represents 100% utilization of the casino revenue fund of money that was accrued as of the time that this item came out of committee. So this is a 100% utilization paired with the two $1.5 million loans coming out of the fund. So as of the point of this loan, the casino revenue fund has a zero balance pending future revenues coming in.
Okay. All right, so this is the use of our casino revenue funds. All right, any other questions or comments? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Miscellaneous committee reports. I have a number of committee dates listed, so I don't know if everybody wants to go. Should I read them, or you want me to? All right. What about Health and Human Services? I have you down for 10:15 at 10 o'clock.
That's HR.
HR, I'm sorry. HR, Ms. Conwell?
Yes, HR will be
I don't want to upset Mr. Brady, sorry.
on 10:15, but there will be some more HR analysts, and I'm not sure which department they'll be coming from, as well as a presentation from the HRC regarding the pay equity. So.
Okay, and council operations?
We'll be meeting on 10/16 at 2 p.m.
Okay, I have it 1, so it's a 2, okay. And Public Works?
Public Works will meet Wednesday, October 16th at 11 o'clock.
And Economic Development, I have at 10, 16, at 3 o'clock. These are all changed because of the Monday holiday. Public Safety,
Tuesday, 1 o'clock?
and then I assume that the Board of Control will also be on Tuesday. And Finance and Budget.
Madam President, the previously announced meeting for Tuesday, October 15th, will not take place. We need more time to harmonize conflicting information on the proposed amendments to the lodging tax. However, we are about to go into the biennial budget process. And on next Tuesday, the 15th, is when the biennial budget is expected to be submitted to the clerk so that it can be prepared and introduced at its introduction date on the council meeting on the 22nd. And on Monday, October the 21st, we will start the process at 1 p.m. in Committee of the Whole, and on that day, we'll have an overview of the county's finances going into the budget process. And on Tuesday, October 22nd, from 3 to 5 in the Committee of the Whole, we will have an overview of the budget as introduced, discussing the major issues and changes as presented.
All right, thank you, Mr. Miller. Any public comment unrelated to the agenda? Anyone
got
say?
one more thing, Madam.
Okay, Mr. Galvin.
Sheriff Bova, did you want to give us an update on the program that you had last Thursday? The
This one, yeah, it's just one that's coming Thursday, right?
that I showed up to out of Collinwood because Gallagher knows no boundaries.
I understand.
Did you have to get a passport?
No,
to
I
come
got,
from-
but I got out of there early, so I'm okay.
On the strategy against violent encounters, Council President,
But I
Council,
was ready.
County Executive, it was a huge success. We ended up having 14 women that participated that night. We were battling the Browns versus the Bills that night, so that's why we believe that the crowd may have been a little less. But the actual training went real well. It was very well received. All the females said they learned a lot that night. And this Thursday is at Zone Rec from 6 to 8 will be the next round.
And when's the one in Warrensville?
The one in Warrensville is following Thursday.
On the 17th?
On the 17th, correct. And that one will be from 7 to 9. And then we go to Shiloh Middle School on the 24th in Parma, and that's from 7 to 9 too. But the city of Cleveland times are 6 to 8.
Okay.
We're advertising it better now.
That's correct.
We have Councilman Zone,
That's
I
correct.
believe, and we expect a pretty good crowd.
That's correct. And I know Emily Lungard from the PIO's department is getting a lot of requests from the media presently too. So.
All right, thank you. Anything else for the good of the order?
President,
Yes.
I've prepared a letter regarding the hotel project on some thoughts that I have, and I'll be distributing that to council tomorrow via email, and a hard copy will be in your box. The hotel project.
Oh, and the letter that I wrote to the Plain Dealer in response to their editorial about the comp hotel rooms, I understand from Ms. Myers, is currently on the website and will appear in the Plain Dealer tomorrow. Okay, if there anything else for the good of the order? All right, motion to adjourn? So moved. All right, stand adjourned. Thank you.